Remember when Christmas arrived quietly, not with flashing adverts or early sales, but with a feeling in the air? It crept in through frost on the inside of the window, through the smell of coal smoke and pine needles, through the soft crackle of the wireless playing somewhere in the house. You remember coming in from the cold, cheeks burning, hands numb, and seeing the sitting room already half transformed. Tinsel caught the light from a single lamp. The tree stood proudly in its corner, a little lopsided, a little imperfect, but alive with promise. There was a particular hush to December evenings then, broken only by the clink of china, the rustle of paper, or the distant sound of car tires on wet roads. Christmas decorations were not statements. They were companions. They stayed with us year after year, absorbing laughter, arguments, silences, and secrets. And when they were brought out again, they brought all of that back with them. This was Britain in the middle of the 20th century, a country still shaped by ration books, neighbors, and routines. Homes were smaller, budgets were tighter, but Christmas felt fuller somehow. Decorations were reused, repaired, and remembered. They were not trends to be replaced, but traditions to be kept. In today's brighter, faster world, something quieter and more human has slipped away. Today we're rewinding time to remember 10 vintage Christmas decor traditions that once defined a British winter. These are not just objects, but moments, rituals, and feelings that shaped the season. Many of them have vanished for good, but in memory, they still glow warmly. Let's begin the countdown. Number 10. Glass baubles wrapped in tissue paper. You remember the box? It was always the same one, tucked away at the back of the cupboard, smelling faintly of dust and cardboard. Inside, each glass bauble lay cradled in yellowed tissue paper, folded carefully decades ago. They were heavy in the hand, cool to the touch, and slightly dangerous. One slip, one careless elbow, and Christmas would lose a piece of itself forever. Hanging them was a slow, deliberate ritual, usually supervised, always serious. Today's plastic ornaments are bright and unbreakable, but they carry no sense of consequence. Those fragile baubles taught us care, patience, and respect. They shimmered not because they were perfect, but because they survived another year. Number 9. Tinsel draped thick and proud. Tinsel was never subtle. It came out in long, crackling strands, silver, red, or electric blue, and it went everywhere. Across the mantelpiece, around door frames, and looped generously around the tree until branches sagged under its weight. When the fire was lit, the tinsel danced, catching every flicker of flame. It smelled faintly metallic and warm. Today's minimalist decorations leave space empty on purpose. Back then, empty space felt wrong. Christmas was meant to overflow. That thick, unapologetic tinsel reflected not just light, but abundance of spirit, even when material abundance was scarce. Number 8. Paper chains made at the kitchen table. Before decorations were bought, they were made. Paper chains began as scraps, cut carefully with blunt scissors at the kitchen table. Fingers grew sticky with paste, sleeves were ruined, and the radio murmured in the background. Each loop was joined to the next, creating something greater from something ordinary. When they were finally hung, crooked and colorful, you could point and say, "I made that one." Modern decorations arrive perfect, anonymous, and silent. Paper chains arrived noisy, messy, and proud. They carried the sound of laughter and the patience of waiting. They reminded us that Christmas wasn't something you purchased, but something you built together. Number 7. Fairy lights that glowed, not shone. Old fairy lights did not dazzle. They glowed softly, each bulb a small pool of color, casting gentle shadows on the wall. Sometimes one would flicker, sometimes another would fail, and replacing it felt like defusing a bomb. They warmed the room slightly, and you could almost hear them humming. Modern LED lights are bright, efficient, and coldly perfect. Those older lights felt alive, as though they were breathing with the room. They didn't demand attention. They offered comfort. In their soft glow, evenings slowed down, and time seemed willing to wait just a little longer. Number 6. Ceiling decorations hanging on string. From the center of the ceiling came magic. Paper bells, stars, and honeycomb shapes dangled on thin white string, turning gently whenever a door opened. They hovered above the room like quiet guardians of Christmas. Children lay on the carpet staring up at them, watching them sway. Today, ceilings are left bare, forgotten. But those hanging decorations made the whole room part of the celebration. Christmas wasn't confined to corners or surfaces. It floated. It moved. And as they slowly spun, they seemed to measure time itself, counting down to the big day without ever rushing it. Number 5. Mantelpieces crowded with cards. The mantelpiece disappeared every December. In its place stood rows of Christmas cards, overlapping, teetering, and slightly singed at the edges from the fire. Each card was opened, read, and displayed with care. They came from relatives, neighbors, workmates, and old friends not seen for years. Names were familiar. Handwriting was recognizable. Today, messages arrive instantly and vanish just as fast. Those cards stayed for weeks, silently reminding us that we were remembered. They turned the mantelpiece into a gallery of connection, proof that the season reached far beyond the front door. Number 4. Homemade Advent calendars. Advent did not rush. Sometimes it was marked by a simple cardboard calendar, sometimes by envelopes or matchboxes filled by hand. Each day revealed something small, often just a picture or a single chocolate square. Waiting was part of the magic. Modern calendars overflow with gifts and gimmicks. Back then, restraint sharpened anticipation. The slow opening of each door mirrored the season itself, steady and patient. It taught children that joy could be measured, not consumed all at once. By Christmas Eve, the calendar stood empty, having done its quiet work of stretching wonder across the whole month. Number 3. Artificial trees that smelt of the loft. Artificial trees were never realistic, and no one expected them to be. They arrived stiff and dusty, carrying the unmistakable smell of the loft. Branches needed bending, gaps needed hiding, and the base was always a problem. But they were reliable. They returned every year, unchanged, waiting. Modern trees strive for perfection and realism. Those older ones accepted what they were. They reminded us that consistency had value. That showing up, year after year, mattered more than looking convincing. Once decorated, that awkward tree became part of the family, flaws and all. Number 2. Window decorations facing outdoor. Christmas decorations weren't just for the household. They were for the street. Paper stars, cotton wool snow, and glowing candles were placed carefully in windows, facing outward. They told passers-by that this was a Christmas house. Neighbors glanced in as they walked by, comparing displays without competition. Today, windows often stay dark, privacy protected. Those outward-facing decorations created a quiet sense of community. They said, without words, that warmth lived here. That light was meant to be shared. Even strangers could carry a little of it with them as they walked on. Number 1. The fully decorated living room on Christmas Eve. nothing compares to the moment when it was finally finished. The living room on Christmas Eve, complete and glowing, ready to receive the day itself. The tree stood fully dressed, lights on, decorations settled into their familiar places. The smell of pine, dust, food, and warmth mingled into something unmistakably Christmas. Adults sat quietly for a moment, tea in hand, surveying the room with tired satisfaction. Children were sent to bed reluctantly, casting one last look over their shoulder. That room held everything: effort, memory, hope, and love. Today, decorations go up early and come down quickly. That final Christmas Eve reveal carried weight because it had been earned. It marked the pause before joy, the breath before celebration. In that room, time slowed, families gathered, and for a few hours, nothing else in the world mattered. Looking back now, it wasn't the decorations themselves that mattered most. It was the way they asked us to slow down, to handle things gently, to wait, to gather. Each ornament, each strand of tinsel, each paper chain carried the fingerprints of those who came before. They absorbed voices, footsteps, and laughter, storing them away for another year. Modern Christmas is brighter, louder, and more convenient. But convenience has a way of flattening memory. Those old decorations asked something of us in return for their magic. Time, care, attention. And perhaps that is why they stay with us still. Because in remembering them, we remember ourselves. The people we were. The homes we shared. The winters that felt endless, and the rooms that felt safe. Time moves forward, as it must. But memory has its own quiet power, and every December, it invites us to rewind. If these memories stirred something in you, you're among friends here. Like, comment, and subscribe to Britain Rewind, where Britain's past is not forgotten, but gently remembered. Share your own Christmas memories below, and help keep these moments alive for the generations still to come.